I'm Justice Patrick. I'm here with Mr. Sam Walker today. It's such a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much. It's an honor to interview you. It's September 13th, 2019. I'm working on the African American Heritage Project, and it's very good that I can get with someone to be doing this and be able to show leadership. Mr. Walker, can I ask you a few questions today?
Yes.
I really just want to know, how and why did you become active in the civil rights movement here in Selma, Alabama?
Well, back in 1965, when Dr. King came to Selma to work with the local people here in Selma that was trying to get the right to vote for African Americans who were being denied the right to vote. Of course, I was only 11 years old back in 1965, so I wasn't thinking about trying to vote. But at that time, you understood that you was being treated different from other people. Wow. Different from the white people. And so I got involved along with other students my age and a little older, because we just wanted to see some changes in the way that we were being treated. Right. You know, we were tired of having to go to the side window to order a hamburger, go upstairs in the movie theater. When you went to the movie theater, you had to always sit upstairs. Right. So those kind of conditions that we were tired of, you know, enduring those conditions, so we wanted to change those conditions. We felt, we would always say, we want our freedom. Right. We felt that if we achieved our freedom, that meant that those things would change, that we wouldn't be treated that way.
Right. So what were you doing during Bloody Sunday? I'm very interested in knowing that.
On Bloody Sunday, I wasn't at the march. I had an older brother that was at the march. I was 11 years old. I had a brother that was in 11th grade, 17 years old. Right. And he was in the march, and once the tear gas was shot off, and he was chased back to the house. Most people ran back to the church, but he didn't go back to the church. He ran on to the house, to the home. And once we saw him, how scared he was and how frightened he was, then we all got up and went down to my father, myself, and my brother went down to the church to see what we could do to help.
Right. Will you tell me the backs of this building? It's very good that someone out there should know, and myself, my generation, it's very important that we know the significance of these buildings. Will you tell me the history of this?
Well, this is the National Voting Rights Museum and Institute is where we're sitting. Right. And the museum preserved the history of the voting rights struggle. Right. One of the main things we do here at the museum is we record the story of the people we call the foot soldiers. Right. You know, you've seen all those videotapes of Dr. King leading all those civil rights marches. But then you see all these other people walking behind Dr. King in those marches. Well, those are the people we call the foot soldiers. Right. And now when the new law was passed, the Voting Rights Act was passed, and all the voting demonstrations ended, most of those people just went on back to their regular world. You know, some of the leaders of the movement got their stories recorded in the history book. Some of them wrote their own books. Right. But most people just went on back to their regular life. Right. And because they weren't the leaders, no one ever went out and reached out to them to record their history. Right. So when we opened this museum in 1993, we made that one of our primary goals for this museum was to document, was first to identify, and then to document the people we call the foot soldiers of the voting rights struggle.
Okay, very interesting. This is really amazing. It's a very beautiful building. It's a pleasure to be sitting here today. I really want to know what do you think? What are your thoughts on Bloody Sunday? Do you feel that y'all progressed and had enough success out of it, or what do you feel the failures were? What do you feel wasn't not done for it?
There were two different emotions. On Bloody Sunday, it was a low point. It was the lowest point of the movement. Right. But 48 hours later, it was a high point because people saw Bloody Sunday on television. Bloody Sunday was the media expected something to happen on Bloody Sunday. And because they expected something to happen, the photographers had got here early and had already set their cameras up. So when Bloody Sunday happened and people started getting attacked and tear gas, the photographers had their cameras rolling, and all those scenes was captured on film. Right. Now those films were sent back to the TV networks. And the scenes of Bloody Sunday here at the foot of the Every Federal Bridge in Selma was put on the news all over the country. So people all over the country saw what happened at the foot of the Every Federal Bridge here in Selma, Alabama. After that happened, Dr. King wasn't here that Sunday. Dr. King came back that night after Bloody Sunday had happened. Right. But Dr. King was preaching at his father's church, Evidence Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia. But that same night, before Dr. King left Atlanta, coming back over to Selma, Dr. King went on television. And Dr. King held a national press conference. He said he called for people of goodwill. He said, if you think what you saw on your television was wrong, and you think people in America shouldn't be treated like this, he said, then you should come to Selma and stand with us. And less than 48 hours later, there were so many people had got up and came to Selma. People got up from their homes and started flooding into Selma. So within 48 hours after Bloody Sunday, the people were back on top again because all these people had come in to lend their support.
Wow. Well, I don't know if the generation today would be able to have stood so strong like you. Like I was telling my friend on the way here, I don't think none of us would have survived what y'all did or what your ancestors and brothers may have done, your ancestors, aunts, cousins, anyone here, because y'all walked a long walk, and you know we still got ways to go. The kids today don't understand that they don't take advantage of education or what's very important. They don't understand the significance of this, and I think that every parent should tell their kids about this here, what it took to survive.
Well, our ancestors, the slaves, people think that they couldn't have done that. My generation said, ain't no way I could have took what the foreparents did to slavery. As part of my duties here at the museum, we have two museums. We have an ancient Africa enslavement and Civil War museum.
Right.
And I serve as a historian for both of the museums.
Right.
So I do a history presentation at the other museum, and I actually do a presentation on the Middle Passage. I have to take the guests through the experience of being treated like a slave for about 45 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And so people, once they go through that experience, people realize how hard it was to be a slave.
Wow.
And but the slaves didn't do it because that was they had to.
Right.
We endured the struggles of the voting rights movement because we had to.
Right.
And so I'm sure the next generation will be able to face those same kinds of challenges and be able to succeed because they have to.
Right. Yes, and do you feel that the Lynching Museum and all that stuff should have been here in Selma as well as Montgomery?
Well, we had the Ancient African Slave and Civil War Museum before the Legacy Museum.
Right.
But but there's plenty of room because the history is not owned by anyone,
That's
So
right.
wherever the history can be recorded and presented, I'm very fine with that, because I think people need to know.
That's right. That's very important. I honestly felt like there should have been a museum for Bloody Sunday. Do you think so?
Well, I don't know if it was a whole museum, but the events of Bloody Sunday has to be recorded and documented and has to be continued to be shared with future generations, And so one of the things we have here at the Voting Rights Museum is we have that history, so people can come here and learn the history about the foot soldier, people that was there, that wasn't the leaders, but was there and made those same sacrifices.
Wow, this is very good for me to be here with the roots, just sitting still living here today is a blessing. Do you mind if I ask if your older brother, is he still living?
Oh no, he passed away in 1989. He was killed in an automobile accident in 1989.
Oh wow, I'm so sorry. And what was his name?
Willie James Walker.
Willie James Walker, okay. Do you have any other siblings or anyone else that may have participated in this event or Black Bat Era?
Oh, I have a younger brother, but he didn't participate. He was too young. I was 11, he was 8.
Okay. Hey, do you feel that any of these events had a great impact on the U.S. population today or children today? Or do you feel that it was just our race that had an impact on it?
Well, one of the things that happened after Bloody Sunday is that people of goodwill came forward. Mm-hmm. And they were the ones that forged the progress, and there has been a history in this country that every time we met those kinds of situations, people of goodwill have stepped forward and did what had to be done. And so that gives me confidence in what's going on today with the fact that we still have those people of goodwill.
Right.
And at some point they're going to come forward and resolve some of this craziness that we see going on in the country today.
Right. And how do you feel, what are your thoughts on Dr. King's assassination or anyone else that was killed in Bloody Sunday. Not only just acknowledging Dr. King because he was a leader here and he stood tall, because I feel everyone was a leader, you know, back then. What were your thoughts on his assassination?
Well, you know, as they say, God don't make mistakes. So God put him here to provide that leadership for the time he was here. But when God felt that he had done what he needed to do, he took him home. And so, but he left him with an example that if you follow Dr. King's example, if you follow Jesus Christ's example, then you can be successful. You know, because you have to be committed to what you believe in, number one, and number two, committed to the way you're going to achieve that. You know, Dr. King was totally committed to nonviolence. Right. Regardless of what happened to him, he was committed to nonviolence. Right. And because he was so committed, he was able to be successful with that you know, strategy.
Right. Do you feel that this history is educational enough in schools today? Do you feel that they put it out there for kids to know in history? Oh,
absolutely not.
Right.
You know, we started this museum back in 1993 with our own money.
Wow.
We didn't wait for a grant to get to start a museum. We know that history was important. We were starting to lose people that was part of the history. There was older people that was passing away before we got the chance to record their stories. And so people spent their own money to set this museum up. And we started recording those stories, you know, after we got the museum established.
That is just really amazing. That's truly a blessing, because I really wish that, you know, not saying it because it's me, but I really want to be a part of things like that. I really want to get involved. I really want to be connected with things like that, because it's very significant. And kids, like I said, children today don't understand it. People today don't care about it, and that is not how it should be. We should keep pushing and carrying on and keep moving, because we have a long way to go.
Yes, and you know, one of the examples that you should learn from this history is that when black people stick together, they can get a lot accomplished.
Right.
There was one of the times when black people stuck together, and they were able to get those significant laws, the Voting Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act, all those laws accomplished. You know, I think it's sad to say, but it's also fair to say that in my lifetime, I've only known two situations when black folk really stuck together. Wow. That was during the voting rights struggle in 1964-65, and the first President Obama's election in 2008. Wow. You know, so those were the two significant times that I can point to and say black people all stuck together. You know, right. but we saw we had success in both of those efforts because black people stuck together.
Right. What are your thoughts on nonviolence of our race, and why do you think that we have nonviolence of being black? Why do you think it's so big in our community? Why do you think it's so big on our race?
Well, nonviolence is a strategy that's never lost. You know, it's a successful strategy. You know, Gandhi had a successful strategy. Dr. King had a successful strategy.
Right.
But you have to be committed to that strategy. You know, it's easy to say you're nonviolent until somebody hits you. You know, then when they hit you, you ready to turn around and hit them back. So then that lets you know you're really not nonviolent. But when somebody hits you, you be able to find a way to resolve that without hitting back, and stay committed to that principle of nonviolence. Then you can get things accomplished. But nonviolence is more than just it's a science to nonviolence. So you have to be able to practice that science. So there are courses that you can go and attend courses to teach you how to conduct yourself in a nonviolent situation and give you that science of how to act nonviolent.
Right. And are you familiar with any other activists here in Montgomery? Selma? Most of them are deceased, right?
Well, you got a different generation of activists doing their own, the people that were activists in my generation, a lot of them are deceased, but there are other young activists coming along. You know, we have an organization.
I understand, and that, your generation is my main focus. People that actually were in Bloody Sunday and that had a lot to do with it. That I'm asking, are they still here? A lot of them are deceased.
Well, pretty much a lot of them are deceased because they're older than I am. I was only 11 at that time, and I was one of the youngest, so most of them were older than I am, so a lot of them have passed on.
It's still a blessing to be able to sit here and be able to ask someone questions who actually witnessed it, or who was at home hearing about it, or who had a sibling or some relative that was involved in it, because a lot of people don't get that.
And people get excited. I don't get as excited, but I think about it more and more.
Right.
But I'm one of the few people that actually met Dr. King and President Obama.
Oh, wow.
I had a chance to shake both of their hands.
That's amazing.
And so, you know, when people know about that, everybody get excited. But so
Right.
and lately, I've realized that is significant.
It is very, very,
you know,
because a lot of people don't have those opportunities.
Yes, yes.
And, you know, God don't bless a lot of people to see it as well. And have you ever had an actual conversation with Dr. King?
Yes, yes, yes.
And
Dr. King would have meetings just with the students.
wow.
And he would sit around and talk to us just like we're talking, you know, and so you had a chance to ask questions.
Right.
And speak to him directly, because he would, and then one of the things I was talking about, the nonviolent principles that Dr. King practiced, they taught us, they had workshops to teach us how to conduct ourselves in a nonviolent movement. And Dr. King lieutenants would conduct those workshops, and Dr. King would come in and he would add to the workshops.
Oh wow, that's great. You know, I feel like a lot of us today need that type of discipline in our lives. Don't you think so?
Yes, because it didn't just help us in the movement, but it helped us in everyday life. You know, so you was able to stick to a task. Once you set out to accomplish something, you was able to stick to that task until it was accomplished.
And see, that is what my story is based on. Like, I'm a published author. My book is based off of bullying, self-esteem, social injustice, and indifference. And it talks about how a lot of kids are so much to where they want to fit in with the crowd and they don't want to stand out. A lot of kids don't practice on what's doing what's right. You know, they all want to, no, we're not going to do that. You know, that's not what that's whack. You know, back then y'all stuck together because y'all saw it for yourself, and you know, that's just, I wish a lot of kids understood that today, and I want someone to see this and it be a help to them. You know, kids need to understand that soaking up a lot of knowledge is very important, and knowing the significance of where they come from and their roots is what's important. My mom has always taught that to me and my brothers and sisters.
My classmates and my class was the first graduating class of the integrated Selma High School.
Wow.
Class of 1971.
Yeah.
But because we had gone through elementary school and going through the civil rights struggle together, our class friendship has continued for those 50 years. We've all been friends for the 50 years, you know, from junior high school right up to today.
Right.
Most of my classmates and I, we've all been friends. We've always had a close relationship. And I think part of that because of those bonds we shared during the civil rights movement and during those early childhood years.
That is good. Do you mind if I ask what elementary school you attended?
Clark Elementary School.
Clark. Is that here in Selma?
Yes.
What is it called now?
It's here Clark. It's here Clark Elementary School.
Okay. Does it meet up to standards of history or no?
Well, no, because it's right there in the middle of where the history was taking place. George Washington Carver home is right next to Brown's Chapel Church.
Right.
And so, you know, the school doesn't provide the history that it could. A lot of times I'll go and talk to classes over there and also bring classes here to make sure they know the importance of where they're going to school at.
Yeah, maybe they should get all the schools here and sell them together one day and just have a big.
For years we had there was a program that every fourth grader in this county came to this museum and got learned about this history. And that went on for several years, but the funding sort of faded away, and so it stopped. But I thought it got so popular till other counties started bringing their fourth graders. They had signed up other counties wanted to bring their fourth. Even some schools in Montgomery brought their fourth graders because they wanted people to know that.
You know, and I think it's just very atrocious that, you know, people of their own don't even invest in what's important anymore. You know, we all started out just to say we did it, but you know, you have to keep, like I said earlier, you have to keep it moving, you have to keep it pushing on so we can pass this down to other little babies that's coming into this world, you know.
And you know, one of the things we do here also is we host the anniversary of Brother Sunday, which is now a big major event, the Bridge Crossing Jubilee.
Right.
But at the Jubilee, we try to ensure that we have programs and activities for young people that they can be brought into. We have a pageant, but we don't have the beauty pageant. We have a history pageant where young people do different various things. We have a step show, but it has to be dealing with voting. They have to have a theme around voting. Their step routine has to be a theme around voting. So we try to get